On this episode of Citizens, we head to Kentville, Nova Scotia to meet up with Kim Smith. We'll learn all about video improv, what it is, and how Kim's goal to bring people together has paved the way for an inclusive community of film enthusiasts. Today, I found myself at the Valley Community Learning Center for a class with Kim Smith, the creator of movie games and founder of Video Improv. Kim had been donating his time for years to teach film, and I was interested to find out where this inspiration originated from.
Video Improv is built on the idea of theater, like improv, if you've heard of improv theater. Mm-hmm. So it's built on that. So if you've ever seen like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Those games that they're playing in Whose Line Is It Anyway are called theater games. And my background is in performance, and one of the techniques that I was exposed to were theater games. So when you're developing a role, how do you find the character? And you can do it through various improv. And one of the things that Viola Spolin, who's the author of theater games, at the end of the book, she said, these are hopefully just an inspiration for creating your own games to learn whatever you want to learn about. And so I developed movie games based on theater games. So these were ways that people could learn different aspects of movie making through an unscripted, playful improvisation.
What exactly are you teaching people with video improv?
It's evolved. In the beginning, the focus was teaching people media literacy, and in particular, what film grammar is, what motion picture language is, the visual language of motion pictures. But after getting involved in doing this a few times, I started to notice that there was another deeper social aspect to it, because when you form a group of people to improvise a video without a script, without any of the professional trappings, it brings people together because people have to actually cooperate with each other, and the group work became more what this was about. And I saw over and over again that this could be a way for people of different ages and abilities to come together and collaborate as equals. The deeper piece of that is that my son has a severe intellectual challenge. And he's 30 now, and he's nonverbal. So he still has a story, even though he can't talk. And the beautiful thing about video is that it can include everybody. Everybody has a story, whether they can talk or not, or whether they're a fast thinker or a slow thinker, or whether they can walk and run, or whether they have to roll or not. Everybody has a story. And video improv really can include everybody. The thing that's peculiar about video improv, it's different than industrial, conventional movie making. The conventional movie making process might involve setting up lights, setting up more than one camera, having everything broken down into different jobs. So you would have like a director and a camera operator and a sound person and a lighting person, and you can have a crew of 100 people. It gets very large. In video improv, the process is more on how do we as a group of people collaborate and share the power of the camera, rather than, do it in the industrial way where the power is very much a pyramid. So you have the producer at the top and the director, and it goes like that. And then everybody down the pyramid breaks down into different jobs, and we're all just a little piece of the puzzle, but we're not really in charge of the story. That's usually at the top of the pyramid that's in charge of the story. But in video improv, it's much more like the ancient idea of a story circle. So, for instance, and this is probably why it's very timely right now in Nova Scotia, or I should say Mi'kma'ki, to be doing this right now, because as we're going through the truth and reconciliation process and we're learning more about Mi'kma'ki and the history of this place where we live, in the old ways, the whole community came together and had story circles. They didn't have the Western idea of an actor and an audience. You know, that whole idea of a fourth wall. You know, you have a proscenium stage and you put the show on the stage and we get all the applause and the rest of the people are out there, and that's not what this is. Yeah. This is in a way, we're using really ultra-modern technology like smartphones, which is, you know, the latest digital technology, to, in a way, revive an ancient way of coming together as community where everybody's included and we share the power of the story, much like a talking stick. So the camera becomes, have you heard of the talking sticks?
Yeah, I have.
It's very like that. So I get the camera first, and maybe we make the story with my phone. So I'm going to take the first shot in the story, whatever it is, and it's a picture story. It could be a silent movie. Opening, ooh, fade up, what are we looking at, you know? And then I give the camera to you and you do the next shot. And then the next person does, and the next person does, and the next person does, and it gets passed around. And then when we're done, we watch it. And so there's this very much an intense, really deeply human, very social, we're all helping each other do this. So if one person's nonverbal, no problem, we'll help you. You know, like it's a safe space for everybody, and we can do it together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you have to actually see it. It's really tough to explain it, you know, but it's definitely, it's related to typical film in the sense that we're creating a motion picture together.
Right.
But that's where it ends right there, because the process is completely different than the professional industrial process. This is much more a community building process where, you know, it's a different approach, and it has to do with power. A lot of it does. So it's more about sharing power rather than power over, which is it's a very different approach.
Next up on Citizens, we sit down with Brian and find out how Kim and video improv changed his life. After learning all about the work Kim had been doing with video improv, I wanted to talk with Brian to find out how these movie games had helped him practice his love of filmmaking. Brian, tell me about how you got involved with video improv.
Well, it was to do with Kim Smith. He approached me when I was in People First. He approached me and wanted to know if I wanted to make some videos, and of course I went with with the idea. I really wanted to do stuff like that industry, that how it works. I was so fascinated. Even when I was a kid, I wanted to get into that. I was a kid that watched a lot of TV, and that's where my writing came in, is because I was so fascinated over, how did they do that? How did they, write these fascinating stories you know, and if they can do it, I should be able to do it, and I did it. And that's how I started learning how to write, is that desire of wanting to get my word out there.
What do you think is so appealing about video improv in particular?
All my life that I've been told that I wasn't able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got that sense that they're wrong. I can do this. I can. You know, I'm not this disabled person that, you know, that I was made up to feel. You know, I can do maybe slower, but I can do it as good as anybody else can.
Of course.
And now I don't let anybody tell me I'm disabled.
Yeah.
It was my way of, you know, of acting without having to have the pressures of remembering words, you know, the written words. This is my time to prove to people I am not disabled. I can do it. It might be different than, you know, than the conventional way of acting, but it's my way. If every community would get involved with these workshops, they would realize, you know, that the equality that they have. And yes, it can. Improv is hard. It really is hard, and you know, especially when it comes down to working with the camera and getting the right angles and whatever. It's hard, but life is hard, and that's what improv teaches some, you know, people is yeah. Life is hard, but you don't give up. You keep on going, and you realize the quality that you have in your life, and you take that with you, you know, wherever you go, and you say to yourself, I did it. Mm-hmm. It was hard, but I did it. I was capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. And that is the thing about these workshops. It brings on that spirit inside of you that you never had before.
What do you think is the most rewarding part about doing video improv?
Rewarding. Everything that I do, everything that everybody does, is you know, you do something good in your community. It's something. It's a real good feeling, you know, and that's the thing with these workshops. You go home and you have this feeling that you accomplished something, and everybody should be feeling that.
Brian, what kinds of stories would you like to tell?
I had a friend of mine, and her name was Donna Lemon, and she, all of her life, she was in pain. She called me up. This is the last time I talked to her, and the words that came out of her mouth, I was crying because she was hurting so bad, and people was saying how bad of a person she was. After that, you know, I wanted to get a group going. I didn't know what the name, but I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know what the name was going to be until she died. And I wanted to, at first, it was going to be the Donna Lemon Able movements. It's Donna Lemon Able Society. Because we're all a society, every one of us. Mm-hmm. And we should be there to help each other. That's what we're here for. You know, we aren't here for ourselves. We're here to make a difference for somebody else and put a smile on somebody's face. Mm-hmm. And say, and make them know that, and they can honestly say to themselves, I am worth living for. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I love me. How many people in this world can say, I love me? That's where the world peace comes in, is when somebody can say, I love me. Mm-hmm. I love myself. Mm-hmm. If you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else? Mm-hmm. That's the magic of it. You love yourself, then the peace comes.
Next up on Citizens, we talk to a newer participant of Video Improv, and I get a chance to join the class and try my hand as a filmmaker. Talking with Brian had been a truly uplifting experience. Next, I sat down with Jocelyn to find out what she thought made Video Improv so unique for her community.
All of these things that you do are based on the skills and the talents of the people who live in places. Right. We happen to have a Kim in this area, right, who has a long experience with working with film, and he's transposed those skills to video, and he's willing to share that. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that in all of these communities, regardless of the size, there's always more talented people than you realize. You just have to be open to finding them, and then you have to be open to getting them involved, mm-hmm, so that you can learn from them. Mm-hmm. You just have to turn your computer on or your iPad on, and there's videos being created constantly. It's just the fact that, you know, we get to do it here, right, and tell our story instead of somebody else telling our story. For me, it's been an opportunity to meet people in this community that otherwise I would not have met because our paths would never cross. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Brian, the other day I was walking on the Miners Marsh Trail and I ran into Brian. Now, you know, 2 months ago I would have walked right by him because I wouldn't have known him, but now I met someone that I knew, mm-hmm, and we were able to stop and have a chat. So that to me is interesting, that it brings you in contact with people who have different interests, different skills, and it creates a group that normally would not happen.
Mm-hmm. So you have this idea in your head, and you're hoping with Video Improv that you can find out how to technically create it.
Exactly, okay. Exactly. And how to tie it together, because look at people's boring photo albums, you know? And unless there's somebody kind of standing next to you and telling you the story while you're looking at the pictures, that sometimes it's like, eh. But if somebody's telling you what's going on, then you're more interested. So the same thing with video. I mean, to just put a bunch of clips together, you know, I need a storyline, I need a narrative.
After chatting with Jocelyn, I was then invited to join the class outside and participate in a game of Video Improv.
So this is why I did this, is just to help people like you or anybody, like, learn how it's actually done, as a mental process. It's all in the head and the way you look through the frame, right? And once you get used to that, then you can start to tell whatever style story you want. You want to do action? Great. Still have the match cut. You want to do romance? Still have the match cut. You want to do documentary? You still have the match cut. It's a real important skill. And it saves time if you're out like recording or you're shooting your movie. If you know how to do that ahead of time, then when you are the DOP, you know how to frame a shot
and you know you're making a sequence, so you know this shot's going to connect to that shot. So you help your editor out a little bit by being aware of what you're doing, right, in the frame at any time, right? Then it becomes fun, right? So you need to start a picture with the audience looking there, and then you can move the audience wherever you look. Hand it over here, and I can find this lovely young man here, and I can cut. And now, what happened is I have that shot that's starting the point of focus there and bringing it over here. He was the last thing you saw, so you don't want to start with him.
Like, you don't?
No, you don't want to start with him. You want to start with something completely different. It could be the brush, or it could be. It doesn't really matter. The object of this particular game is to try to do a nice, clean match cut from the last shot to this shot, right? So the last thing we saw was Farim's face, and the next thing where his face was is what you're doing, right?
I got you now.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
There you go. And so there you did it. Look at that.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Let's see how your cut worked.
Okay.
Let's see how it did.
Great.
So we'll put a straight cut in there. Oh my gosh.
Did it work?
Yeah, look, it's nice and neutral,
Nice.
and there you go. You did it.
Awesome. Love that.
You did it.
Okay. Fantastic.
Who's next?
Coordination.
Do you want to see what we made?
We'll just take it from the top, and we'll see our glorious mess.
Can you make the screen the full
Yes,
screen?
I will make it full screen so that you can all see what you just did. And so remember, what we were trying to do is match cut every shot. We're trying to match the end point of focus to the beginning point of focus every time. Will we do it? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see how everybody did. It's the white light. No, it's the bag. It's the light. It's the bag. Oh! It's the...
That was a good one.
That wasn't bad, actually. It wasn't bad.
It took me a while to find something.
It's the key to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's right. There's all the awards.
No, it was the
There's
lawn.
the ceiling. There's... Denny! Oh, wow. What's next for me is... Not bad.
I really enjoy this class because expressing in short stories something it's a very good way to be in the moment and expressing what you're feeling, and yeah, I like it.
Actually, this is my first time to involve in something like video taking, and I used to think this video taking is really difficult to start, but now I find it's really funny, and I'm not sure how to say, it's just so happy. I would love to take this class, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys.
Gain new skills and most of all, have fun.
This can help me become a better YouTuber in the future.
Thanks, to you guys who make your way here, and so I guess we will continue with this sometime in September, and so hopefully you guys will come back, and make it fun-loving.
Having the opportunity to speak with Kim and his class had been an incredible experience. I was so moved by everyone's generosity and Kim's patience, working with each person one-on-one. The idea of storytelling is so unique for each individual, but Kim had found a way to bring people together, share a story, and also somehow make it your own, the very essence of what a community can be.